joyful noise.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, joyful noise.
Hello.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Tots at Home. It's been a whole 2 weeks, Jimmy.
Oh, I've missed you guys so much.
It's been 2 whole weeks since we last chatted to you guys via video and we have missed you guys, haven't we?
Yeah, so much.
So I really hope that you guys enjoyed our live programme 2 weeks ago and that you also enjoyed your half-term break.
Yeah.
And we are so excited for our next live Joyful Noise, which will be in a few weeks' time, so stay tuned. But today, Jimmy, we are back and we are learning more about the life of Jesus. And we have a brilliant story about Jesus calming the storm.
Oh, Gillian.
Yeah.
It has been so stormy recently.
It has. Boys and girls, have you seen the storms recently? Last weekend it was really stormy.
It was like, wow. It was so windy.
It was so windy, but you know what, Jimmy? It's perfect because that's exactly what our story is about today. Today's story is about a storm. But first of all, Jimmy, will we play a game of weather forecast?
Huh? How do you play that?
Well, it's really simple. So I'm going to shout out some different types of weather and you boys and girls and Jimmy, you have to act it out. Okay? So I'm going to shout out a weather and you have to act it out. Are you ready to give it a go?
Oh, okay.
So the first one is windy. It's really windy. So what can you do? Jimmy, it's okay. The next one, boys and girls, is sunny. So what would you do if it was sunny? It would be sunny. Who wishes it was the summer holidays? I definitely wish it was sunny. Boys and girls, what's the next one? Storm. A big storm.
Again.
The next one, rain. What would you do for rain? And windy again. And calm.
This is like Northern Ireland weather.
It is like Northern Ireland weather. And windy again. And calm. Good job, boys and girls. So now we're going to have our story and Rachel is going to read us our story today.
Hello, it's Rachel and I'm going to read today's story. The Storm That Stopped. A true story about who Jesus really is. One day, long ago, Jesus was teaching people by the sea. Soon some more people arrived. Then others. Then more. And more. Until there were people everywhere. The crowds were just too big. We can't hear back here. Give me some room. No one could see Jesus and no one could hear Jesus. I can't say. Oh, be quiet. So Jesus asked his friends, the disciples, to push their boat out onto the water. He sat in the boat and the huge crowd spread out along the beach. Now they could all see and hear Jesus as he told them all about God. When he finished teaching the people, Jesus said to his friends, "Let's go over to the other side of the sea." Jesus had finished teaching the crowd and now he had something to teach his friends. But they didn't know it yet. So they all jumped in the boat with him and set sail across the sea. Jesus was so tired. He'd been teaching the people all day. So he lay down in the back of the boat and fell fast asleep. It was a quiet evening. The water gently lapped against the boat and the sun slowly set in the sky. Jesus was sleeping. The disciples were quietly talking. Then, all of a sudden, they were in the middle of the biggest, loudest, scariest, most ginormous storm you could imagine. The wind blew hard, the waves grew huge, the water poured into the boat, but Jesus was asleep. The wind blew harder, the waves grew huger, the water filled the boat, but Jesus was still asleep. Jesus! Wake up! Wake up! We're drowning! Don't you care? What a silly thing to say to Jesus. Of course he cared. He loved his friends so much that one day he was going to die for them. Jesus stood up in the boat. The wind was still blowing. The waves were bigger than ever. The water was pouring into the boat quicker than the disciples could tip it out again. The boat was sinking. But then Jesus did something amazing. He didn't help his friends pour the water out of the boat. He didn't help them try to row back to land. Jesus simply spoke. But he didn't speak to the disciples. He spoke to the storm, to the wind, and to the waves. Quiet. Be still. Just 3 little words, and the storm stopped. Right away, at that very moment, the sea was quiet, still and calm. Then Jesus looked at his friends. Why are you so afraid? Do you still not trust me? But they were terrified, and they asked each other, Who is this? Even the waves and wind do what he says. This is what Jesus wanted to teach them. He wanted them to know who he really is. The disciples already knew a lot about God from his special book. They knew that God made everything. He made the world, he made the sun and the moon and the stars. And he made the sea and the wind as well. They knew that only God can tell the sea what to do, that only God can tell the wind when to blow or the waves when to crash. Only God can do these things. But the disciples had just seen Jesus do the same things God can do. So what is the answer to their question? Who is Jesus? Jesus is God.
I can't keep it all inside. I want to dance.
Are we going to do your craft this morning?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my special guest, Susan. Say hello, Susan.
Right, come on, colour in.
Let's color in. And
Use colour in.
Wow! I wish Jesus told the storm last weekend to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so scary, Julianne.
It was a little bit scary, but you know what, Jimmy? We never ever have to be afraid, boys and girls, because God has promised to be with us. And
That's
remember,
right.
Jesus wasn't afraid of that storm because Jesus was in control. And Jesus has promised to be with us if we put our faith in him. And boys and girls, I hope you have lots of fun today making your craft. And I have another little activity that you could do today as well. So all you need is a little container with some water. And if you have a toy boat, you could put it inside, like the boat that Jesus was on. And I want you to have fun today making waves with the water. So Jimmy, what are some ways that you could make waves with this water?
Shake it.
By shaking it. So you can make waves by shaking it. And then you can practice saying stop. And the waves stop. What are some other ways? Maybe, boys and girls, we could try making waves using a hairdryer. So you could put a hairdryer on it and maybe you could see if a hairdryer makes waves. But remember, don't put the hairdryer in the water. And maybe think of some other ways that you could make waves today.
Yeah.
So boys and girls, you could do that as well. But now it is going to be time for our memory verse.
Oh, yeah.
So boys and girls, I wonder, do you still have your treasure box full of memory verses?
Yeah.
This is Ivy's one that we made a couple of months ago. So the verse that we're going to do today is this one here, which is Joshua 1 verse 9. Are you ready, Jimmy? You going to help me with it?
Yeah.
Be strong
Be strong
and brave.
and brave.
I,
That's
God,
God.
will be with you
Will be with you
everywhere you go.
everywhere you go.
Joshua 1
Joshua 1
verse 9.
verse 9.
So this verse tells us, Jimmy, that we never have to be afraid because God is with us. Let's do it again. Be strong
Be strong
and brave.
and brave.
I,
That's God.
will be with you
Will be with you
everywhere you go.
everywhere you go.
Joshua 1
Joshua 1
verse 9.
verse 9.
I again. Be strong
Be strong
and brave.
and brave.
I,
That's
God,
God.
will be with you
Will be with you
everywhere you go.
everywhere you go.
Joshua 1
Joshua 1
verse 9.
verse 9.
So boys and girls, well done. But that is all for us today. We will see you guys next week. Have fun. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.